Hey everybody, I'm Scott Davenport, and today we're going to do some post-processing on one of the photos from my recent visit to Windansea Beach in La Jolla. So if you saw the In the Field episode just a couple of days ago, you saw that I got a lot of nice shots from this outing. That period of almost an hour of having nice diffused light really lets the photographer work a scene. You're not rushed by sunrise or sunset and that fleeting moment of golden light. So today I thought we'd go through one of the images where the clouds had just started to break. It was shortly after sunrise. There's no dramatic sunrise because there are lots of clouds, but some color creeped into the sky. The waves looked really nice. The ocean actually looked more aqua green than usual because you didn't have the blue sky bouncing all that blue light off of it. And get some really nice shutter drags as well to get some this movement in the ebb of the water. So let's get over to the computer and take a look.
All right, so here's a shot more or less straight out of the camera. Then very slight adjustments done in aperture, really just to address chromatic aberration around the high contrast areas of the rocks. And there's really just a couple of initial tidy up things need to do here in layers. First is to get rid of this distracting rock over on the side. So we'll use the perfect eraser and just remove that. It may take a pass or two. Yeah, looks like we'll do a second one there. And we'll see if that works. I'm still having problems there, so here's a trick I'll do with that. I'll grab the clone tool. I'm going to lower the opacity down. Roughly there's okay. And so this foam was really kind of what I want. This is what I want to get rid of. Shrink that brush size down a little bit. I'm going to do Option click, and I get a swatch of the foam. And I can just kind of dab it in there. And I can click around a few times to kind of smooth things over. Option click again so I can maintain that little crest of a wave there. And I'm not going to bore you with me clicking and fine-tuning this. That's the idea behind it. And the other thing that I'll clean up is just this lower corner of the beach. So back to the perfect eraser, and I will zoom in here. Let's just go 50% so you have some context. I like that some of these create some lines going up the beach, but other spots, like these in the middle, in between these two lines, are unnecessary. And then as we get closer to the edges of the photo, those become more distracting. There's not enough of a trail to that corner to give us a nice strong leading line in there. So I went through and cleaned up a few of these bits and pieces here. And to save some time for the recording, here's the finished layer. Let me turn that on. You'll notice a slight shift too. I did a very minor level adjustment. Zoom back out here. I can't do it again because I have smart layers now in my final image. But using the crop tool, which is currently disabled because of the smart layers, I'd grab the level tool and just point on this horizon, point on that horizon, and I get the leveling when I turn this level on. You can see here, just a very slight tweak. Now with this is the base layer, I then brought it into effects. So here is the effects that were added to the image. Let's go inside there and take a look at what I added to bring a lot of the life back into this picture. There was quite a bit of color that morning, and it initially just didn't translate through the camera. I shoot RAW, and so RAW is normally kind of flat, but this was especially flat. So starting at the bottom, first the tone enhancer, and it began with the auto setting, and then I adjusted these sliders accordingly. If I click auto again, you can see it's kind of dark. It just felt too dark, so let me undo that adjustment. I brought the brightness up a little bit, and then I also added a little bit of clarity for edges. Clarity deals with edges of objects, so the edges of these rocks, the edge of the foam at the beach. It will not do details like inside this rock or inside the little tiny bits in the waves. That's more the detail slider. I didn't want to do that just yet. Moving up was color enhancer next, and very subtle, just the auto setting, and then a slight bump in saturation for the image overall. I don't believe I did any... oh, actually I did. I did play with the aquas quite a bit, shifting them more toward blue tones. If I bring that back to nominal, it's subtle. Bring that back up, undo, particularly at the horizon level. You can see that changing there. And I don't know about the greens. No, I did nothing on the greens, so I wasn't worried about the moss as much here on the grass, or on the rocks. Moving up the stack, a gradient. This is what really brought the sky back into this photo. Very simple adjustment, brightness. This is the darken preset for the brightness. If I click that, you can see that. Oh, I have a mask. Hang on a sec. I want to keep that mask. You'll see that this is the value for the brightness, and some of these other things get zeroed out. I'll undo that. I brought up the detail a little bit, and this is mainly for just the sky, to get a little bit of those clouds showing up. Also added some warmth. This is the point of my shoot where the sun hadn't come out per se, but the rains had stopped and the clouds broke just a little bit. And there were these periods of just a few minutes where the clouds went from having a pinkish light orange tone to them to a little bit of yellow before they closed up again and became that gray mass that was there most of this morning. Next one's not as obvious, noise reduction. So I need to zoom in at 100% for this one. And this is mainly for the sky. I'm only applying this to the sky. Let the screen catch up with us here. There we go. Let me turn off the noise reduction. And you can see there's a bit of grain, particularly more in the grays and the darker, blue-gray tones here. That, because it was a dark scene. Now adding noise reduction, it also softens things. You lose a little bit of detail. And the settings I did here, I think I started with strong, and then I backed off how much the luminance reduction, noise reduction was being added, because it was just over the top and making everything way too soft. But that ends up really smoothing out this sky, giving it a softer feeling, and just getting rid of those those bits of grain that I don't like those in my photo. I know for certain types of photos, street photography, or even black and white portraits, there can be a nice artistic feel to that, but I don't want the noise in my landscapes. Dynamic contrast is next, and I did this globally across the image. This was beginning with the natural preset, and I actually backed off the medium slider. That was to keep it from becoming too crunchy in the waves and in the sky. The large slider's really for these rocks here. In retrospect, I'm looking at this now. I might have, maybe I could have gone and done another dynamic contrast, painted some more details into just the rocks themselves to make those jump a little more. I just didn't happen to do that this time around. Maybe I was still feeling soft and ethereal like this sky here. And last is a vignette, a very subtle one, nothing too major. Again, if you've seen other videos from me, or you've purchased my book, you'll see my technique for doing vignettes, and I really do them customized for each image. I don't use these presets very much at all. So there we go. That's the before, and that's after. There was one last thing that I did. I'm going to cancel this because we really haven't made any changes. The one last thing that I did when I got back into layers, I was looking at this and going, this feels just a little bit dark on the bottom half. And so I duplicated this layer. Actually, I'll go through it right now. I'll duplicate this layer, and then I removed the effects from it. Now here's my original image, right? And here's what we stylized. And so that's what I have here. I took a mask, and I'll copy that mask. Copy. And paste it to this layer. And it's going to brighten up just the bottom of the image. Let me enable it, and it brightened it up, right? Now the last thing I did was adjust the layer opacity. So I'll do the same thing that I did here. I'll bring it all the way down. I had it about 15 or so, something like that. And that just gave it a nice, just a little touch of brightness. Not too much, not overbearing, but it's going to make your eyes come back down here where they mainly should be. These are my subjects, these rocks here, and everything else is environmental, setting the scene.
So that's it. Some very basic styling, a little bit of retouching, and a fair amount of this is to taste. I guess the one tip is with the noise reduction. That was something I really felt necessary for the sky, particularly the darker bluish gray areas. At the longer exposures, you're getting some noise into those areas. And even though they weren't underexposed, there was enough going on there that adding in that noise reduction really helped smooth out that sky. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of In Post. Please leave comments, drop by the website. You can keep up with everything that I'm working on. Feedback is fantastic. I really appreciate all of you that have sent me emails asking about things, whether it be you're local and want to go out and shoot, to questions about post-processing, questions about how I had the camera set up. If there are things that I'm not talking about or I'm glossing over when I'm doing the processing, it's probably because I don't think it's important and maybe you think it is and want to know more about it. So please let me know that, and I can work that into future episodes or answer your questions through my blog or through email. That's it. Thanks very much. We'll see you again soon.